People still argue about it. Some swear it existed. Others insist it never did. A 6x37 cubic inch V8, quietly linked to GMC, rumored to be the largest V8 ever engineered. No glossy photos, no press releases, no racing footage. Just whispers passed through swap meets, forums, and half-remembered magazine lines. And yet, every time the story is challenged, it doesn't disappear. It fractures. Because when you start pulling real historical threads, you don't hit a dead end. You enter a part of American automotive history that was never meant for enthusiasts at all. In the years immediately following World War II, General Motors wasn't thinking about muscle cars, drag strips, or magazine covers. It was thinking about scale, about infrastructure, about power systems capable of supporting a post-war industrial empire. GM was building engines not for drivers, but for governments, utilities, and military logistics. Engines that powered mobile radar stations. Engines that kept airfields alive. Engines that ran day and night in conditions where failure wasn't an inconvenience. It was a crisis. Inside that world, engines didn't have personalities. They had requirements: massive torque at low RPM, ability to run on inconsistent fuel, cooling systems designed for constant load, and durability measured in thousands of hours, not quarter-mile passes. GMC's industrial engine division operated almost like a separate company inside General Motors. Passenger car engineers and racing departments rarely crossed paths with these teams. Documentation was minimal, sometimes intentionally. Many engines were logged internally, tested briefly, then either reworked or abandoned as requirements shifted. That secrecy matters because it explains why this story exists at all. When enthusiasts decades later began digging through old records, they found something strange. Bore and stroke figures that didn't line up with known production engines. Displacement numbers that exceeded famous big blocks by a wide margin. References that didn't match the well-documented 702 cubic inch twin-six V12, but also didn't fully contradict it. That's where the idea of a massive V8 configuration entered the conversation. Not a showroom engine, not a race motor, an experimental industrial layout. And here's the crucial detail most people miss. This engine was never banned. No rule book ever outlawed it. No sanctioning body ever debated it. Because it never qualified as a racing engine in the first place. Racing engines chase horsepower through RPM. Industrial engines chase torque through mass. A V8 of this scale would have been brutally heavy, incredibly slow revving, and mechanically stressed in ways no race car could tolerate. The crankshaft alone would have been enormous. The cooling demands extreme. The fuel consumption staggering. This wasn't an engine meant to impress crowds. It was meant to do work. And that's why it never appeared in NASCAR, drag racing, or endurance competition. Not because it was too powerful, but because it was irrelevant to that world. It belonged in generator rooms, not pit lanes. By the late 1950s, the writing was already on the wall. Jet turbines, advanced diesel designs, and compact high-efficiency power plants began replacing massive gasoline engines. Industrial philosophy shifted fast. Bigger was no longer better. Flexible was. Facilities were shut down. Equipment was scrapped. Paper records were discarded or archived without fanfare. Engines that once shook concrete floors were cut up for metal value. And silence moved in. Silence is dangerous in automotive history because silence creates space for myth. By the time collectors and historians began seriously revisiting GM's industrial past, the physical evidence was gone. What remained were partial documents, second-hand accounts, and displacement numbers without context. Enough to suggest something extraordinary once existed, but not enough to prove it cleanly. That ambiguity is why the GMC 637 refuses to die. We want it to be real because it represents something intoxicating, a moment when American engineers built machines without caring who would ever applaud. When power was measured in usefulness, not spectacle. When some of the most extreme engines ever conceived were never photographed, never branded, and never celebrated. Maybe the real truth isn't whether the 637 was officially cataloged or publicly acknowledged. Maybe the truth is this: the most dangerous engines in history weren't the ones that raced. They were the ones hidden in plain sight, built for a world that never needed to remember them. And that's why this story still echoes.